Hi everyone, Freddie here, and for today's video I want to go and show you guys how to make a Taiwanese/Chinese classic, which is Xiaolongbao or soup dumplings. This is actually something that's very near and dear to my own heart because going back to Taiwan every summer or every winter, I'd always watch these tourism videos of what to do when you're there, and these would always pop up. There'd always be videos of travelers eating these exotic little tiny dumplings that when you bite into them, this gorgeous soup comes out of them. So for today's video, I decided why not share a bit of my own heritage and make this recipe for you guys. Traditionally, Xiaolongbao, it's pork dumplings, but to make this recipe more approachable, I decided to use beef. And the reason why is because whenever I go to grocery stores, they don't sell commercial pork broth, so I have no way of making it fully pork. If you want to make this with pork instead of beef, you still can, but instead of beef stock, which is what I used in this recipe, you probably have to use chicken or vegetable stock with the ground pork instead. So to start, we have the wrappers. Taiwanese wrapper dough or noodle dough is made very similarly, and it's taking flour and boiling hot water that you heavily salt and just combining that together, which is literally what I did. And you have to knead it like crazy, just keep kneading that dough until it becomes elastic, which means when you press down on it, it should be able to rise back up. In the case of when I was actually recording the making of the wrappers, I didn't knead it quite enough, and what happens then when you do that is it will start to stick to things when you roll it out, even when you add flour. The reason why you knead it is because you remove a lot of that moisture, and also it helps give the dough much more structure so it can handle being rolled out and rolled flat. But don't worry, if you end up like me and you have a sticky dough mess on your rolling pin, all you really need to do is just take that, add more flour, and keep kneading it. And the exact recipe proportions I will list below. So then, after I finish kneading my flour and my water and making the dough out of it, there are two ways that you can portion out the wrappers. One way is rolling it out into one flat sheet and using a cookie cutter. And the other way, which is a much more traditional way, is you just take the dough and you keep splitting it in half until you have a ton of little, about thumb-sized pieces of dough. And generally that's a lot easier in my opinion, just because then you don't have to keep going through the finagling process of rolling out the dough, cutting it out, rolling out the scraps, cutting it out. Instead, by doing this way, you just bypass all of that. So then from there, you roll out your little dough balls into individual wrappers, make sure to flour them, and voila, you have your wrappers ready to go. For the filling, I recommend that you do some of these steps in advance, mainly the consommé part. So what you do is you take your stock, which will become the consommé filling for the dumpling itself, and you combine it with gelatin that you bloom. I actually bloomed the gelatin using the stock as well. Normally you use cold water, but in this case I just use cold stock to guarantee that no matter what, you will be tasting the flavor of that stock through and through, this consommé filling. And I use beef stock because I'm using ground beef. So then I take the bloomed gelatin, combine that with a boiling beef stock, and then I just reduce that down a little bit, just enough so that way the actual consommé stock filling mixture will actually melt into itself and become one homogeneous liquid. I take that, I pour that onto a super thin sheet tray, and then I freeze it until it's firm. For the meat part of the filling, what I end up doing is I take ground beef, combining it with soy, sesame, Chinese cooking vinegar, salt, pepper, paprika, and then I mix that all together, and then I take the gelatin once it's solidified, sort of scramble it up in the pan, and then I just knead that into the actual ground beef mixture. And an easy way to compare is when you're making a meatball and you take the wilted onions and you mix that through your ground meat. It's basically like that same exact type of sensation, but with the consommé mixture instead. From there, you take your dumpling wrapper, you fill it with about a tablespoon of the filling, and then you start pinching the sides together. Once you pinch them together very closely enough, it starts to form a little teardrop shape, and then from there you just pinch the top to close it up, and then you have your little dumpling. I take the steamers that I have, I line them up with parchment paper that I cut little holes in so that way the steam could pass through the paper, but the dumplings won't stick to the steamer itself. I put about 3 to 4 dumplings into the steamer at a time. I steam them for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then voila, those are done. For the sauce that I serve with it, I have just simply black vinegar with some grated up ginger. Pretty simple, which is why I didn't bother really recording myself doing it, because it's not that hard to do. It's not rocket science. And then It's actually what you traditionally would eat with this kind of dumpling, so I figured, stick to tradition in some sense because I actually do not have chopsticks, so when I'm recording me eating this, you're probably going to think, what a noob. Now I shall eat this like a white person because I don't have chopsticks. I'm a very bad Asian. One of the dumplings. What I like to do with them is I actually like to go and bite it into it first to let the soup come out, and then I just eat it all together. Here we go. Mmm. Oh my god. You know that moment in Ratatouille with the peasant boy who ate the ratatouille and got sent back to his childhood? That's me right now. I'm in that Taiwanese factory that my parents used to work at, just enjoying this with a glass of apple cider. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, and I enjoyed being taken back to my dingy Taiwanese childhood. I hope you guys enjoy the recipe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!